Hey, what's up, guys? Randall from OddsJam. Going to show you some bets today. Hop over here on the EV page, take a look at the tools, see what's out there. See what's out there as well on the other tools. Maybe we can find some profitable betting opportunities or some ways to make some money or rack up some reward points in some of these sports books. So we'll go ahead and I've got my state switched to Colorado. Wasn't a lot out there for Illinois, at least right now during the day. So wanted to at least show you something that you could potentially bet, depending on your location. So we'll take a look. We'll turn the recommended filters off and on here a couple of times. I'll switch my state back to Illinois, but seeing a lot more with Colorado and some other sports books out there that I know are in quite a few states. So just wanted to do that. This first play here, I've got the recommended filters off right now, but Purdue, Minnesota, we can take a look at this bet. We can see that it's plus 110, over under 51, under 51 being the bet on Bet365. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to take a look at this and just look a little bit more in depth to see, if this looks like a really good bet. Kind of based on the market as a whole. So over under 51, if we take a look at the market, we can see that total looks to be about 51.5 kind of as the main line. There's a couple that are at 52 out there, but we can see for the most part, the market, when we look at it here, there's a couple of books juiced to the over on this 51.5. And when we look at this, I mean, plus 110, is this necessarily an outlier to all of the other books? And when looking at it, I mean, it's an outlier to Bet Online, it's an outlier to Pinnacle, but the rest of the market as a whole, I mean, outside of DraftKings, plus 104 on these Canby books. So don't really have a good sense here of whether or not this is a true outlier to a whole lot of books. I mean, we can see, again, like I said, it's over 51.5, juiced a little bit to the over on some of these books. Bet Online is a sharp book. They do have it at 51. So I'm actually I would pass on that particular play just in looking at the data there. We can see here Tulane and Houston over under 55.5. So minus 110 on BetMGM. If we look at this, we can go in again. We can take a look. I always like to look to see, what the market has it at kind of as a whole. Is this number a really good number, or could we potentially be getting, some negative, some bad value just in terms of where the actual market is? So when I'm looking at this, we can see BetMGM minus 110 over under 55.5. Main line appears to be at 55. So we're getting about a half a point of value here. Again, looking at the odds, it looks like, Pinnacle's minus 129. Bet Online actually has this at 54.5. So if you were comparing that, as a sharp book, you're getting a full point of value there with that particular play. So under 55.5, looks like DraftKings has this juice to the under. With only getting a half a point, if every book were at 54.5, I would probably take this. But in looking at this, it is somewhat of an outlier. But I would like to see it be a little bit more of an outlier. I'd like to get a little more than a half a point. Couple comments here, PrizePicks. So let me just hop over there. Then let's see if there's anything out there in terms of looking for PrizePicks. So let me just see what is out there. Let me go ahead and clear this out. Let's see if there's any plays for PrizePicks that are out there. Let me turn this back on. Just give me just a second. So looking here to see. So, all right, you guys are looking for PrizePicks plays. Here we go. So let's take a look at these. We can see, where the value is. So on this particular play, PrizePicks has Luzardo under 4.5 hits allowed. If we look at this, this would be for a picks. This would be for a PrizePicks 5 flex. So we would actually need to find 5 of these. But in looking at this, I mean, still at 137, if you just play it with, say, you put 2 entries, or you put 2 legs in the entry, you're actually still getting value. So looking at this right here, Luzardo under 4.5 hits allowed in comparison to the market, being 167 to the under, 155 to the under, 161 to the under. There's definitely some value here on the PrizePicks if you were not going to do the 5 flex entry. Now, if you were going to do the 5 flex entry, you're going to get a lot more value, but you are still getting some value here with this particular play. And we can take a look. I mean, if we wanted to just find out what the no vig odds, like what are the fair odds, true odds for this, we could do that, if we wanted to just look at the odds on Pinnacle. So if we go here to the no vig odds calculator, minus 161 plus 119. So fair odds minus 135. So actually, let me take that back, because fair odds are minus 130. What did we say? Minus 135. So we would actually be taking 137. So in terms of like getting value with Pinnacle, we would actually be taking a little bit worse of a number. But if you're looking just at the market as a whole, I mean, there's definitely value here on this minus 137. Now, as we look at this, if you wanted to do this PrizePicks 5 flex, which is all of what we're seeing here, I mean, there's definitely 5 plays that we could build this with. So you could certainly do that. Luzardo under 4.5 hits allowed, Cueto over 3.5 strikeouts. This looks to be a really, really good one on this particular spot here. Minus 137 if you're just putting it on a regular entry. Still, again, it's good value in comparison to all of the other books. So that's how I that's how I like to look at this when I'm doing PrizePicks. So player strikeouts, Odorizzi, again, over 3.5. Looks like there's some value on this if you're putting it in the 5 flex. However, kind of looking at this as just, maybe an entry on two legs, it probably would not have as much value. You can see minus 137, a couple of the books minus 120, minus 136. Few others are juiced a little bit higher. So you're probably getting right about the line you probably should on this particular play. Woodruff over 6.5 strikeouts. Again, that looks to be pretty fair if you were just using it as, say 2 entries. But the picks, the 5 flex on PrizePicks, there would definitely be some value on Woodruff. So just to go back over it here, just to show you guys the value and, let you kind of determine what you want to do. Luzardo under 4.5 strikeouts has some value. Cueto over 3.5 definitely has some value. Odorizzi over 3.5 strikeouts as well. Woodruff over 6.5 strikeouts. And then there's a couple down here. Smith here over, over a half player bases, a little bit of value there. And then not even sure who this is. Not even going to try to pronounce his name, but a little value here on this. So quite a bit of value if you were wanting to build out the PrizePicks 5 flex. So another thing you can do for PrizePicks if you use OddsJam is you can come here to, the ARB page, and basically we can just, and there may not be any, so we'll have to just look, but you can turn on, so we've got PrizePicks. So it doesn't look like there's actually any direct ARBs to Pinnacle. So that's what I was looking for whenever I came here, was just looking for anything that was a direct ARB to Pinnacle, because that would definitely be some value. If you do Underdog Fantasy, we can see if there's any of those. Doesn't look like there's any of those out there either. But again, that's just another way to use the ARB page. If you wanted to, again, find some value, just looking for direct ARBs to Pinnacle on those particular props, if you weren't able to find any on the EV page. So we'll refresh this, got all these books together here. Looks like if you're in, well, not even Colorado, probably any state here, a tennis ARB for tomorrow. Looks like some risk-free money here if you wanted to put, say, $250 on one side, 125 on the other. You're going to make a risk-free $125. Or I'm sorry, you're going to make a risk-free $13. So a lot of opportunities here, depending on your state. We've got it set to Colorado, so seeing a lot more. If I went to Illinois, I'm going to see a couple of those that are the same. Still have that tennis one because we have Bet Rivers and Barstool here. Looks like a couple others here on down. Not, again, high ARB percentages, but, still a chance to make risk-free money. Whenever you include Pinnacle in your filters, it doesn't show up. Any idea why? So if you're looking for that, you would actually, the sports book that you're looking for to see that would be the OddsJam line. So that's going to show you the same data there as Pinnacle. Hopefully that helps you out. If not, shoot me an email. Let me put my email in here real quick. You can just shoot me an email if this doesn't work, but you should be able to just click the OddsJam line and that will show you Pinnacle. You can also go to your profile, make sure under managed filters that you don't have OddsJam excluded, and that will allow you to see that line. Let's see here. Yeah, hey, no problem at all. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see if we can find an EV bet that's out there to actually bet today. So Cincinnati, Tulsa under 60.5 points. New feature here that we just released. So you can see here now when you click into the game, we're pulling the odds in real time. So this is now telling you the odds of this bet may have changed. We can see that this is no longer up there for us to actually bet. So it's moved just since the last, refresh on that page. So this is with the recommended filters. Actually, I've got them off. So let's go ahead and turn them on and we'll refresh this page. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm showing you the best bets that are out there at this present time when we're looking at, or when we've, looked at all of the historical data, all of the back testing to Pinnacle, all of the books that we track, showing you the best bets that are out there any given day. So these are the best bets that you want to look at. I still do like to go into them and take a look and say, hey, does this look like a good bet? It's under 49.5. Let's take a look and see what the actual line is to make sure that, this bet that we're taking at MGM is an outlier to all of the other books. I mean, it's minus 110. We're not getting a huge difference here in like the price we would have to pay in terms of, the odds, but we can look and we can see that, most of the market has this set at 49. So you are getting about a half a point value, but in terms of, the price you're paying outside of, DraftKings and Pinnacle, you're not getting much value. So I would lean more towards probably passing on this one, but I did see a play I want to check out. And maybe we'll bet this one and wrap it up if it's still out there. So Washington minus 2.5 at Caesars plus 100 odds. We can take a look at this and see what we've got. So Washington's minus 2.5. We're getting plus 100. We can see that this line is 3 at, quite a few books. It's 2.5 at quite a few as well. But when we look at it, every book, minus 119, minus 118, minus 110, minus 132, minus 110, and we're getting even money. So we're getting even money on a bet that every other book, you have to lay juice on. And so this line, I would anticipate probably is going to go to 3 at a lot of these books. So definitely some value here on the Huskies, minus 2.5 for this Friday night game in UCLA. So if we go back over here, we've got the Kelly calculator here that will tell you what to bet based on the EV percentage, based on the bankroll that you've input. But now what we've added, we've added a column here on a recommended bet size. So no longer, do you have to just click the calculator and look at it to determine what you bet, but we do it for you here. So go ahead and I'm going to log out, or I'm not going to log out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen very quickly here. I'll hop over. We're going to go ahead and place a bet on on Washington minus 2.5. I'll show you my screen here again in just a second. Once we get everything up and running, I've put in quite a few bets over the last couple of days, so not working with a whole lot of money in my Caesars account. Need to have some of those bets settle. So we hop over back here to Caesars. We are looking for, you can see I've got 7 open bets here. We're looking for Washington minus 2.5. So let's see if we can find that. So there it is. Washington minus 2.5, minus 110. So we'll just double check this. Actually, no, wait just a second. Did it move on us? It did. So actually, this is now moved. So it's minus 110. So this is actually not something that we're actually going to be able to bet. Too slow getting that in. Was not logged in and ready to go. So that is definitely a problem. These lines can move quickly. Typically, I'm not, they don't move that fast, but that's a really good bet. I mean, if you were able to snag Washington at 2.5, very solid bet there, just based on all of the data and that's out there with the sports books, and then obviously that line being at 3 at most of the books. So another question here: do you generally have benchmarks you look for before you place a bet? 3.5% and above for a main market with a width of 45 and below. So, to answer your question, I mean, if I'm working with the recommended filters page, or if I'm working with the EV page and the recommended filters being on, I mean, I don't pay attention to the market width at all, because, these are the best bets that are out there all throughout the day. Now, if I turn them off, that's certainly something that you can do. Now, before we had the recommended filters, I mean, I always would operate with a market width of 30 and below and 3% and above. But now with how we're calculating the EV, it's much, much different. And so that would probably not be something that I would suggest. Like I said, I typically stick to the recommended filters page, because I know those bets, those are going to be the best bets that are out there. Those are the best bets that I can possibly make. Not that these are bad bets, but these bets here can potentially lead to more variance, ups and downs. So trying to kind of keep that, more of a steady growth with the recommended filters. So I typically, like I said, I work with the recommended filters, don't pay much attention to any of that. But if you wanted to kind of open up what you were betting, you could certainly do that. I mean, you could set the market width at 30, 45. I mean, 45 is not a bad number either. Again, just kind of depending on what you're looking for. At the end of the day, regardless of what it is you're doing, I mean, you want to make sure that, that line has changed. You want to make sure that the bet you're taking is an outlier to multiple sports books. You want to be getting the best odds for that particular market with all of the sports books that you can compare. And the more you can compare, the better off you will be. So just wanted to come on, show you guys a couple of things. Let's take a look real quick. I'm going to kind of make this a habit and check the middles page before we leave every day, because there are some good opportunities out there. I know I've talked about this a lot on my live stream. Some of you are probably tired of hearing it, but it's a very good, very helpful page. It doesn't look like there's anything out there right now that would be a positive return, or at least, no return at all. But what this page does is, it shows you all of the opportunities for middles. And so if we wanted to bet this LSU Auburn game, LSU minus 3.5, minus 180, Auburn +1, Auburn +4, plus 175. So if LSU wins this game by 4, we cover our minus 3.5 and we push on Auburn. So if we bet, say, 300 on LSU and we bet 170 on Auburn, we're going to lose $3 if this does not land LSU -4. Now, if it lands LSU -4, like I said, we would push this and we would get a refund, and then we would actually make $166 profit. Now, if neither one of those happen, if it's not LSU by 4, you're losing $3. But 4 is a pretty key number. in terms of football, 24-20 final, 28-24, 17-13. I mean, there's all kinds of options where LSU could win this game by 4. So we have a lot of people that will take these chances, put up $300, 170. So you put up $470 total, and the worst that can happen is you lose $3. The best thing that can happen is you can win 166. So a lot of people like to do that. But again, it's taking key numbers. It's not necessarily like betting this first half total of Dallas over 10.5, under 10.5, because in order to middle that, you're going to have to land right on 11. And, Dallas really going to score 11 points in the first half. I mean, that would be a touchdown, 2 safeties, 3 field goals and a safety. I mean, there would just be a lot of things that would have to happen. So I always like to look for key numbers whenever I'm doing that. So let's see here. Got one more question. I'll answer this. What's your best prop bet for same game parlay for Thursday night football? So one thing you can do, and this is a really cool feature on OddsJam, is you can actually search for games. So I don't know if there's going to be anything out there for this Thursday, but it's the Bengals and the Dolphins. So what we can do is we can come to the EV page and we can go to the games here and we can type in Bengals and we can just see if there's anything out there for tonight. So I'm assuming, I guess it would have to depend on where you're building your same game parlay. But right now, if you're going to build your same game parlay on MGM, it looks like there's some value on Joe Burrow under 24.5 yards. Now, the only problem is when I look at this, if I'm wanting to build kind of a straight, EV same game parlay, there's no other bets out there for MGM. So if I was doing, just an EV parlay, Hayden Hurst over 26.5 yards at Caesars is an EV play. And then Joe Mixon under 65.5 rushing yards would be one as well. So in looking at this, honestly, just in my opinion, and I know it is the lowest EV play on the board, but I do think that Mixon under 65.5 would be a really, really good play, assuming you're building your same game parlay at Caesars. So that's something to keep in mind. But this game feature, it's very cool. If you're looking for something in the Cardinals game, baseball, it's going to show you all of the EV bets for the Cardinals Brewers game tonight. So very cool little feature there. So I guess to answer that, Andrew, I would say if you were building it on Caesars, Mixon under 65.5 yards. And if you were looking to build it on MGM, you could go with Burrow as one of the legs. But that's how you can, find some value in the same game parlay world there. So as always, appreciate you guys tuning in. Had to go early today, typically going to go live around 2 Eastern, but just wanted to hop on here for about 20 minutes, share some things with you, answer your guys' questions. And, as always, feel free to reach out. Happy to help you out. See you guys later.